Hi, and welcome to another episode of Mondays with Mardos. I'm Gerard, and this week we're going to talk about the many different sizes and shapes of cigars. Wow, that's going to be a lot. But before I get going, I need you to click on that subscribe button, click on the bell to be notified every single week of new episodes on Mondays with Mardos. Alright you guys, so this week we're going to go over the many different sizes and shapes of cigars. Cigars will come in all shapes and sizes. It can be tough to choose the right one for you. Well, we're not really going to get into that. So we're going to talk about exactly what we have here on this map. We have different shapes and sizes of cigars. Now, traditionally, you usually have the Robusto and the Toro. These are the two dominant sizes that actually dominate the industry. So what I'm smoking is a Toro. The Toro can span usually anywhere between 5 3/4 to about 6 1/4, 6.5 inches in length, and the ring gauge can be from like 50 to 54 ring gauge. Even like a Gordo Toro or Toro Gordo would be like a 58, but majority is between 652 and 654. That's going to be a Toro. Now, a Toro is going to have a good balance of wrapper, binder, and filler ratio. So that's going to be why the majority of the industry always goes for Toro sizes. Now, if you've never tried a cigar and you want to try it for the first time, there's many different sizes. You're not really sure what size to go with. A Robusto is one of the safest bet, right? It's like the axiom of the equilibrium of the axiom of the balance. I don't know if I'm saying it right, but it is like right in the middle. It splits it from a Lancero all the way to like a fat Gordo. Right in the middle, this is going to give you what the blend should be tasting like. It's usually a 5-inch by 50 ring gauge. This is a good cigar to test something if you've never tried it before. So hopefully that made some sense. Never tried a cigar before, you want to try it, go with a Robusto. That's that. Now, in between a Robusto and a Toro is like a Bellicoso. A Bellicoso is going to be tapered in. However, the difference, it was going to be usually a smaller ring gauge in Bellicoso. Sometimes it could be the same ring gauge as a Toro, but if you have a cigar company that you make a Bellicoso the same ring gauge as your Toro, no one's really going to buy the Bellicoso, so therefore they usually alter the ring gauge. They either make a bigger or smaller ring gauge than the Toro, and that's how you're going to have a Bellicoso. And this is going to give you a bit of a different experience on how it rests on your lips. Believe it or not, it does make a difference. That's the Bellicoso. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, on skinny cigars, we have what we call Lanceros. Lanceros are going to usually span from about 7 to 7.5 inches in length, and it's going to be anywhere between a true Lancero should be 38 ring gauge, but you can go up to 42 ring gauge. That's a little bit going too far, but more and more today, 40 ring gauge Lanceros. Reason being is because the construction, when it comes to Lanceros, if you go up to a 40, it's going to ash better, right? It's going to hold an ash a lot better if it's not a 38. At 38, the ash is going to be a little bit more flaky, but in tradition, a true Lancero should be a 38. Now, in a Lancero, you're going to get a lot more flavor of the wrapper than you would to the filler. That's pretty common sense here, right? You got a lot more wrapper wrapping the cigar, so your ratio between filler and binder is going to be less than the wrapper, so you're gonna get a lot more flavor of the wrapper. Lanceros are usually enjoyed by like cigar snobs, guys that are really chasing that flavor. They want that intense fire, and it's gonna burn a lot hotter too, right? It's smaller, so the heat's gonna be more trapped inside the cigar. The Toro, it's not gonna be as trapped. There's more surface area, so more air being introduced to the cigar, so it's not going to burn as hot. If you go up from a Lancero, you can go to a Corona. Coronas usually are in the mid to high 40s in ring gauge. This one's going to be a 46 ring gauge. It's about a 6 1/4 to about 5 3/4 to 6 1/4 in inches in length. But the ring gauge again is going to be smaller. Like I said, it can be in the 40s, like 44 to 46 to 48. It's a little like more of a Corona Gorda, but 44 to 46 is going to be a Corona. And this is going to be a cigar that's going to be a faster smoke because of the ring gauge is smaller, and the burn is going to be more intense than like a Robusto because it is a smaller ring gauge. Now, on the fully side of the spectrum, on the fat cigars, is now something that's getting more and more popular is a 6x60. 6x60s, a lot of industries are introducing Gordos at the same price of like a Toro. So the guy that is looking for best bang for the buck, he's gonna want to go a 6x60 because he wants to have a cigar for at least an hour and 3/4 or an hour and 45 minutes, I should say, or to 2 hours. And that's gonna give you a lot of flavor of the filler. And this guy may be wanting to chase the flavors of the filler rather than the wrapper. And again, he wants the best bang for his buck. So 60 ring gauge cigars are very popular. We have cigars all the way up to 80 ring gauge. That's not my preference, but I do recommend you punching this cigar rather than cutting it, because if you cut it, trying to have a good vacuum seal with your lips is gonna be very tough. So if you have just a punch, it's gonna be a lot easier. Now, when it comes to very exotic sizes, these things are something I would be very careful to pick up. Number one, Perfectos are usually pretty expensive because of the way they're shaped. It takes a master torcedor, meaning a master roller, to roll these. You have to have a lot of experience, so you got to pay that guy a lot more money than a regular cigar roller to make something like this. It being more expensive compared to like a Robusto, as you can see, they're almost the same size. And since it's tapered here, you can't smoke this all the way down to the nub like you would on a Robusto. This one, you're gonna have to like stop like right here, just because of the fact that the way you're holding it and there's not a whole lot of tobacco. So to me, sometimes I stay away from Perfectos unless it's like really good cigar, and in any other size that cigar doesn't taste good, so I'm bound to get the Perfecto, so therefore I'll go for it. Now, if I can find a Figurado about $1 or $2 more than a Perfecto, I'll go with the Figurado because there's a lot more cigar there. If it's like, you know, $17, $18 and the Figurado's on like $21, I'll go ahead and I'll just splurge the extra bucks and I'll get the Figurado. Again, this is gonna be very exotic size. You gotta be careful the way it burns, making sure that the company that makes these does have, you know, some experienced rollers. Just being around for quite some time, you're gonna know what is a household brand name when it comes to a cigar brand. So if this is a cigar company you've never heard of, they're very new, they're already coming out with very extravagant sizes, I'd be very careful because they may not have the experienced rollers. But if money means nothing to you, go ahead and give it a gamble and then see how it goes. Anyways, this is my little cigar 101 on different sizes and shapes. Let me know in the comments if this video helped you or not, but I'll see you guys next week. Remember to follow us on Instagram, like us on Facebook, and remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Peace out.